Welcome back to In the Oven with Adam and Brad.
What's up, y'all? Take two.
This has been a busy week, like personally for me. Getting ready for a half marathon. Garrison is prepping me 15 weeks out from the Nashville Rock and Roll half marathon.
Yeah, and my birthday.
Yep, your birthday. It's on your birthday, April 26th, and for your birthday, I'm going to run it in an hour 45.
All right.
I hope I do that. Man, if I don't do it, you're still going to have a great birthday.
That's
okay?
right. That's right. No, it'll be a good time. And you got a lot of training and prep, and you're going to do some cool science stuff, right? What are you doing on Monday?
Yeah. So, this week has been like what I like to call the baseline week.
Okay.
So I went to the chiropractor, and they're like, "You're not too messed up." They kind of adjusted me, and then I went to my friend Adam Paget, and he's the physical therapy instructor at Gulf Coast State College, and he like tested kind of like my mobility in some areas that was tight. And he's like, you saw me this morning at the gym. He gave me some exercises to do for my rectus femoris being tight. He also checked Garrison, and I want to tell the story. Garrison's probably tired of hearing it, but Garrison's like, check my mobility, and he lays down, and he was like, wow, your mobility's bad. Garrison's like, how bad is it? And he's like, honestly, it's the worst I've ever seen without someone without a degenerative disease, like an autoimmune disease. Like he's like, and then he's like, and it may be just as bad as some people with those kind of things. Yeah. And Garrison goes, what kind of stretches should I be doing? And he goes, if it has the word stretch in it, you should be doing it.
Yeah.
So it was really funny. Just to put in perspective, like you're supposed to have like a 15-degree flexion for your ankles, and he was pushing on Garrison's leg as hard as he could, and he got like 3 degrees of flexion.
Oh, man, I know. Used to training folks, trying to get them to do an air squat or just anything, and having basically seized ankles.
Yeah.
You know, sitting and everything that we do kind of leaves your foot more in this position.
Well, and he said a lot of the people that have issues with hip flexors and psoas, like kind of what's bothering me, is because of our sitting so much. Mm-hmm. When you sit, your hamstring shortened, that muscle's shortened through there, and so it just kind of shortens up and gets stiffer, you know? So, he, you know, like I said, he gave me some exercises. Garrison's got a lot of work to do, but he also said that like that's very typical of like runner builds. I guess runners get stiff, and, you know, I mean, as Garrison says, a stiff spring bounces higher. So, you know, not really sure
Must
if
be
that's
working for him.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the truth is the kid can still run a super fast marathon. So, must be okay. But yeah, so went and saw the PT, has some exercise to do. And then Sunday I'm getting, like a massage therapist is coming, to do a massage. So have her get in the psoas.
Get in there, boy.
And
Yeah.
I'm not really excited about that. That is the most
training.
painful thing, I think.
And releasing any tight, when they really get in there with those deep tissue, full couple knuckles into that, wherever they are in your body. And
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Because like when someone's like rubbing out your quads, your hamstring, like they're on the outside, but like when they're doing your psoas, like they're inside that part of your body, and like you can't really like breathe right, and you're like, you know, so yeah, it's like, but
Intense, for sure.
It was funny because there was like some students, because they had just finished a class in the room, and they were like watching, and they were like, oh, you're doing the whatever test to like test if it was psoas or rectus femoris or like what was tight and things like that. And demoing some of this stuff, they were like getting to see, you know, the application to it all. But yeah, it was fun because when Garrison got on the table, they were like, oh man, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so you got your baseline, and they gave you some corrective stuff. You'll be able to work on that, so you can see how that translates to running and everything else.
Yep. And then Monday, like you said, we do have like some real testing. So Monday, Garrison and I have to wake up super early. We're driving to Tallahassee, and we're doing a VO2 max test with the actual like breathing apparatus, VO2 max. They're going to test our RMR, which I think would be really interesting to see. Like, does your RMR decrease or increase like through this training? Because technically your RMR shouldn't change but you know, is your body getting more efficient, you know, through this thing? And then, you know, like also in a DEXA scan, because my goal is to maintain as much mass as possible. Like I want to run on race day around 190 to 195, which is what I weigh now.
Yep. Keep them calories up.
I was going to say, I might actually start tracking my macros again. Garrison and I have talked about, I definitely get my protein in, which is good, but obviously
total calories.
Yeah. Total calories matter a lot.
Road work. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that, you know, I don't know, I'm a data nerd, so I'm super excited about that. And then on Wednesday, we actually go to the what's it called? The neurospinal?
Yep. The Florida Neuro Pain and Spine Institute.
Yeah. So we're going there, and they're doing a stress test, and then from the stress test, they're going to calculate my VO2 max. They've been really great. They're setting up some stuff for us there. So if you're local to Panama City, highly recommend you check them out because of what they have there. I mean, they have a full PT clinic. They have a chiropractor there. They have like an IV therapy lab. Yeah. Like I said, they can do all these
primary
stress
care.
tests. Yeah, primary care. Yeah. They do hormone replacement therapy. Like, so I mean, honestly, it's like anything you need, you should go there.
Yeah, it's a cool little model where your primary care physician can talk to your PT or your chiropractor because they're in the same building.
Yeah.
And it's a level of care that I know we say health care, but I don't really feel like I'm being cared for. Whereas over there, you feel like everybody cares about you.
Yeah. And they're working together. Like a lot of the, like I saw that there were some people that were going to see the PT and the chiropractor, and it's cool because like they can communicate about like the needs. So like it's not something you normally get because like normally you fill out some form that says like, yeah, my chiropractor can like fax my stuff over to my PT, and then he's looking at stuff and the chiropractor's not taking notes on like where they're adjusting you and stuff, but like they can actually go talk to each other. So like it is a very, very cool facility over there. And Wes has been awesome about just providing us a lot of really cool things and things that they don't have. He's like looking into us. Yeah. So like blood lactate was something we were interested in testing. And he's like, we don't do that, but I'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah, he's a smart dude and he's a data nerd like you know, so give him access, he'll be like, oh, I didn't know people like to quantify that. I need to do it now. So. Yeah,
and so, we're also going to potentially do some blood work over there and then, you know, get IV therapy for those things as well. You know, I've obviously been nerding out a little bit on electrolytes and things like that because literally Garrison and I ran like 10 or 11 miles. We ran all the way to downtown and back, and then I got in my car and drove for an hour. And when I got out, my hamstring was just like, ugh, and it just cramped up on me. And then later that day, the other one cramped up.
I used to hate when I competed in, you know, obviously it was CrossFit, but there's at least the same time duration of moving around on your body in an event and stuff. And so, or at least a competition. And so I hated cars or driving because sitting in that position meant I was either getting a gnarly Charlie horse while driving or like
right when you got out.
80 years old when I was out of the car. Like, ugh.
Yeah. And so my thing is everyone tells you when that happens, like, oh, you need more sodium. You need more sodium. And, the American diet, bro, if you need more sodium in your diet, then you are cooking everything yourself and you're not salting your food.
Yeah, you're carnivore.
Because if you are eating any prepackaged food,
anything,
you've hit your sodium intake for the day. So for me, I realized that it was potassium that I'm lacking. And so I've started increasing my potassium. And then I started doing research, and like 98.5% of Americans don't hit their potassium intake.
Yeah, I'm going over there to get them to do my full panel labs and everything. And then I'm going to get them to put me on their IV trip plan to see. Just with all the family stuff that's going on. Granted, they're all older. It's just made me like, all right, I need to check myself out too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're young, you just like feel like you're invincible. Like you're like, I can do anything. I remember like straight up, I remember being like, I can eat anything. Now, I'll be honest with you. If I go to Chili's and I have that fried mozzarella stick and then those honey chicken crispers, I get heartburn.
Getting old sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened, but it happens. Okay?
They tell you. Everybody tells you. And then one day you're just like, you're old. Yeah. It doesn't slowly onset.
But you know what the cool part about getting old is? Truthfully, though, I care so much less about what people think about me. Yes. And it's funny because, like, I remember older people being like, don't worry what people think about you. But the truth is, like, I literally wear, like, Crocs and Hoka slides everywhere because, like, I don't care. Like, I'm comfortable, and I don't care that you don't like it, you know?
Yeah, just across the board, man. Well, we talked about it when kind of quantifying your baggage, if you will, and what you're going to carry. And it's like, not to be even a negative of like, oh, I don't care what people say about me, but it's just like, I don't know, like, what people think about me. If it is not somebody that I highly respect, then what they think matters so little to me, you know? Yeah. If it's somebody I highly respect, then I guess I care what they think for sure. But
yeah, in certain aspects of my life. Other aspects, they're like, I can't believe you're wearing that. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, right.
Because I mean, I open up Instagram all the time and see people and I go, I can't believe they're wearing that, but I don't, it doesn't affect me. No. So we'll have the VO2 max stress test and everything on Wednesday from him. And then, like I said, hopefully we'll do some other kind of stuff. And that'll be like my testing week. So that'll be like the second weekend. And then the cool part is, you know, training through the marathon. You know, we have a training program, and either right before I run the marathon, probably right after, truthfully, I run the marathon, we're going to test everything again. Yeah. So I'm going to do another DEXA scan, find out, like I said, what my body composition changes were, test my VO2 max, like see, did it go up? How much did it increase? Things like that. The only cool part if we did it beforehand is we found some like calculators that would like estimate your run. But I do know it's like pretty intensive on your body. So I don't know if it's like something, I don't know how intense it is actually. People keep telling me it's like, oh, it's pretty intense. So
What is intense about it?
VO2 max?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you have to run like pretty freaking hard.
You got to go pretty hard, but
Yeah.
you train hard. I don't listen to those people.
Okay.
Unless they were like runners too or something.
No.
It's usually like I had an accident at work, had to get my lungs tested. Or
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
You're a runner now, bro.
Yeah.
You've been running long enough to call yourself a runner. And,
Oh, nice. Hey, I'm a runner.
right? I don't know how long you got to do something, but you've been doing it over a year.
I feel like if you run like 10 miles, you can call yourself a runner.
Just once?
I mean,
I'm a runner, y'all.
Can you run 10 miles?
Forever.
Forever. Yeah. If you
a
run more
forever
than
runner.
once a week,
Yeah. See, here's where I like living the athlete lifestyle. Obviously, the word came from CrossFit, and I think a lot of people throw that around. But when your lifestyle, what time you go to bed, what kind of shoes you got on throughout the day, when those things, those decisions you make throughout life are dictated by this thing that you do, sport of any kind, physical activity, so whether it be running or weightlifting or anything else, I think you get to say you're that thing.
yeah.
I do. I don't think you have to be particularly good at it. I know that might get, you'd have to care what people think, but if you truly didn't care what people think, maybe you're brand new to running. Go ahead and wear that badge. You're a runner now. You get to be one.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I know plenty of people that have run half marathons and marathons, and I haven't done those things yet.
I would give that speech when folks would come into the gym about them now becoming athletes, and that I expected them to treat their lifestyles like athletes treat their lifestyles. Obviously, you're not getting a Michael Jordan payday. You got to go to work. You got to do this. You got to have some peace of mind and stuff like that. But I do expect you to make considerations throughout your day about your water intake, your all kinds of stuff before you show up to my class.
When you make decisions around your hobby, and that's a hobby.
Yeah.
When you make decisions around your hobby, then I think that you start to embody that. And so that's true, you know? Like if you're like, I'm going to wake up super early because I'm going hunting today, then you're a hunter.
Well, and I think it's a really important way for people to live, depending on what those hobbies are. I think hunting gives you the ability to like provide meat and keep some skill sets and maybe sharpen some ancestral type parts of your body. But for me, the rest of them are going to be some kind of physical activity where like it's physically hard, maybe it's mentally hard. But
Well, I want to interject real quick. Elk hunting is probably one of the most strenuous things I've done.
Correct. Yes.
Because I went there and we didn't even shoot an elk, and the amount of hiking I did up and down, because it's a lot of moving because you're like kind of
But you
scouting.
don't have to do all that and still elk hunt. There are levels too.
Right. Yeah. You can do it like horseback or like, and people,
ATVs or
stuff like that. Yeah.
or whatever.
You're right. But I would say like when
Most people don't, for sure. And most people can't.
Because like, and then when you shoot that elk and you got to get it out of there, because like, I'll tell you, the nice thing about hunting in hunting camps, usually in Alabama, Florida, stuff like that, you shoot that deer, you go out of the deer stand, you go get your truck, and you can get it pretty close, and then you can get it into your truck.
Winch it in.
When you shoot an elk, sometimes you're like 2 miles away from anything, and you have a sled.
You against the wolves too.
Usually you go back and get a sled, and you're quartering this elk and like bringing out chunks of this elk.
While all the predators are smelling that fresh meat.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to chop it up, get it out pretty quick.
Yeah. So it's a whole different ball game. But
those folks definitely that would qualify, right? From the footwear they're putting on to the lifestyle to the food they eat, they're definitely not going to get drunk before a night like that or whatever. So like, those are all things that would fall.
So fishermen, they don't count because they just get drunk and go out on a boat all day.
Well, there's also one of those. I don't know how
I was doing that because Garrison's a fisherman.
How you dictate, people always get up in arms about whether like bowling or darts or something is a sport versus like a game.
Yeah.
But I always have kind of maintained that if you cannot provide a level of like physicality to it, so like arguably two basketball players where one is the better basketball player but the other one is more fit, it carries weight. It carries real weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A more fit darts thrower doesn't beat a more skilled darts thrower ever, but a more fit athlete typically beats a more skilled athlete. Or can, depending on that. Depending on that barrier.
And the disparity between those.
And so like there are tons of things though that fall into that hobby realm that like I don't think would be that beneficial. If you're on a bowling team or a pool league or something, you get a lot of friend time, you get a lot of like happy feelings or whatever, but you're not really having to change your lifestyle too much other than rearrange your schedule.
Right.
Be there. So, and again,
and that's a skill practice because
I got whooped up by people that are dang near wasted beating me in bowling or whatever. Like I'm not good at it.
Yeah, in fact,
Let's do push-ups.
I have friends that like go and they bowl, and like one of my friends can bowl a 300. I mean, it's not, he doesn't do it often, but like, but yeah, they're all getting hammered in bowling and stuff. So
this is not fun.
that is, I've never thought of that metric, that just like fit versus skill, like, you know, how's it go? Because I mean, there's running coaches that know all the skill.
Yeah.
But a more fit person get out there.
Well, a really good example would be like jiu-jitsu versus like MMA. In jiu-jitsu, predominantly the more skilled person wins, because once they kind of get a hold of you, they all have enough fitness to just stay a hold of you, and then they're looking for the MMA is who can keep breathing after they've been running around that thing for all, getting up and back down and everything. And you'll see normally, because those hands go,
yeah.
And so the more fit person can typically prevail there. Both of those people would be athletes, but I think it's
let's just take that into the Mike Tyson Paul fight.
Yeah, no,
because Mike Tyson is definitely the more skilled boxer.
Yeah, but I think,
well, we don't have to get into whether it's rigged or not, but Mike Tyson's definitely the more skilled boxer. But at the end of the day, like, that showed you that fitness level of one of just being a younger, more fit person.
Yeah,
it was the disparity between those two.
But when you go back to something like a heavily skilled sport, something like, let's say jiu-jitsu, you could be an athlete and do jiu-jitsu. You could also used to do jiu-jitsu and now, or used to be an athlete at it. Does that make sense? Like now your lifestyle is just like, I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I go to a class every now and then.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not to pick on any specific thing, by the way.
That makes sense.
Sorry. Jiu-jitsu's on my mind. My son's been going all the time. I've taken a couple
I was going to say, you've been going too.
I get hurt every time I go, but whatever.
That's actually one of the reasons I don't want to do those kind of sports, is because of, I have friends that did them.
It would affect your running.
Well, they always like tear a shoulder or something.
I think you got to go
shoulder, wrist, or back. I feel like it's injured.
I think you can safely compete at that sport without injuring yourself, but not getting tweaks and nags. And if you're trying to do something else athletically,
right?
Like, yeah. I mean, nobody slammed me, nobody anything me. I'm sure I kind of did it myself, but I was walking around all week going,
the neck. Yeah.
I still went to the gym. I still was able to do plenty, but if I had to like run or anything, I don't think I'd like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the weird thing about me is, like, when I get enveloped into something, like, I don't want anything to mess with that thing I'm enveloped in. So like running now, I won't do anything to compromise this run now. Like, I'm protecting it, you know, because like I don't want. So like, if you're like, hey, let's go play pickup basketball, I'm like, I'll sprain my ankle. Nope.
Yep.
Don't want to do it.
Yep.
You know.
Well, and so you know, I'm going to support and hang out with my son. You know, obviously when he was born, and for the first couple of years, we still had the gym. I was still doing that. I thought that was going to be like our bonding thing, and then the storm and everything happened, and now I'm like, oh no, I need like a little bit of a hobby with my son. So I would not say I'm in any way trying to become a jiu-jitsu athlete. Yeah. But I'm doing it with him and supporting him, and it's fun. So
I'm just going to tell you right now, what you're doing right now is going to be a core memory for him. Yeah. And not that you even need my like validation in that, but you know, when we made that video for my mom, for people that don't know, for Christmas this year, my mother's one of those people that's like really hard to gift, just because like there's nothing really that she wants or needs. And the gifts to her that are important are things that like take your time. Not, you can go get a cutting board made for her, but like it doesn't mean anything. But I made a cutting board one year and it took me days because I don't know what I'm doing. And it is the cutting board that is on the counter that she uses every day. And she oils that thing and she takes care of it. And it is her prized possession, right? Those are the things that my mom cares about. And so I had an idea this year to gift her a video where all of my sisters kind of answered 5 questions. Just, you know, how would you describe mom in 3 words? Like, which one of your fondest memories?
It made me cry.
You know, things like that. Yeah, it'll make me cry if I go into it. But, and you know, that meant a lot to my mom, but I'm the one that put the video together. And when I put the video together, what I found was the times that my sisters and I just like recalled the most were the one-on-one times with my mom. And some of them were like bigger things. Like I remember my mom flying out to Seattle with me. Like, you know, I'm essentially an adult at this point. You know, adult is a loose word because I was like early 20s. But I'm moving across the country. I'm going to look at apartments. I had done leases before, like in Gainesville, but that's like a college town. Like I'm moving to a town where like people may try to screw you over, you know? And so I'm going with my mom and she's going to go with me and we're going to go and we're going to spend time together. And like to me, that was the trip. But even my sisters recalled just like monotonous days. Like my little sister was talking about like every day going to pick us up from school and just spending time with mom in the car and the things that my mom would do and their interactions. And all of them, though, were one-on-one time. Doing something, and it didn't have to be anything crazy. It could be jujitsu. So that's one thing that I've learned as a parent that I'm going to continue to do is that, when a child has a birthday, like I'm going to take that child away from the rest of the family and spend one time with them doing something, because I think that those are the kind of things that, it just makes them feel special and important that day.
Yeah, they need to feel special. I had the benefit of, well, there's some downsides too, but I had the benefit of being an only child, so I had, tons of one-on-one time with my mom. The inverse of that, though, is that, like, if you're not hanging out with your mom, you're by yourself.
Right.
There's no other kids in the house to even pester or annoy or whatever. So you learn how to be imaginative and whatever. I don't look at it in any bad light at all.
Also, it's harder to create those special moments because it's like, well, who else are you going to take to Disney? I'm the only kid to take to Disney.
Right. And so, but with the us having 3 kids, I agree with you, man. It's super important that I have one-on-one relationships with each of them. It's tough to do, just so you know, as it's easier for me to roll and grab the gang than it is to grab one of them because, well, truthfully, the rest of them are like, well, you want to come?
Yeah.
Well, we want to come. And then you're like, well, it's not that I don't want you to come. It's that, like, I need to make these core memories with each one individually and stuff like that. So
we actually, when we went to the Costa Rica trip, we met a couple there that they have 4 kids. And what they do is on the birthday, they both take that kid to do something.
Oh, cool.
And the really cool aspect of it is, like, one of them, like, they took him on this trip, a couple of days, but part of the trip was going to a football game. Well, the dad took him to the football game, and the mom was then essentially like, I get some mom alone time. And, the cool part about that, is just like, they're getting one-on-one time with their son together and individually, and then they're both almost getting a recharge so when they come home. So I thought that was a really cool thing, and it's something that I want to incorporate, moving forward, is this idea of just like, all right, let's take your birthday, make this weekend special just about you, with Aubrey and I and them. Yeah. And so that's something I'm definitely going to bring forward and our parenting. So
love it.
And then fat and weird related stuff. I mean, this has been a week. Monday, literally I recorded a video called It's a Monday. It started out by one of the guys that, essentially your assistant who really, helps keep the kitchen moving smoothly was out. And we come in and our machine that does our cookie dough is just not working right. And there were some other things wired wrong. So we fixed a lot of that stuff, but it was just still not working. And we get a quote for what the company feels like they think the fix is, and it's like $25,000. And I was like, ugh. And the sucky part is, like, we're kind of like, it's not that we're a financing machine. We just had like a lease term, like we pay it off, and literally next month is our last payment.
Our last payment, and then it's going to give us issues.
And then it's like, but first we got to get $25,000 out of you. And so then the tech on top of that was like $4,000 to come down. So it's really like a $30,000 ordeal. He comes down and he's like, yeah, there's nothing wrong. He's like, yeah, just the dough sat in there too long. It kind of just was too much pressure and it just wouldn't move the dough. And yeah, it's no big deal. And so on one hand, I'm like grateful that it's not this $25,000 fix. But on the other hand, I'm like kind of pissed that I had to pay $4,000 for a guy to come down here and go, you're all good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and these machines are complicated, and part of them are in German and everything else, and so we're on the line with everything. I'm in there holding multimeters on everything, giving them readings. We're FaceTiming with them. We luckily we had the Robot 500, so we were able to pull those back in and keep the operation going. But because of the speed at which we're able to run everything right now, we're just barely gimping along. It's like we're still coming, We got a little motor, but it does work. It did allow everybody to keep working, and that's one of the big struggles that we face here. Is it's not just the $30,000 hit, even though that wound up being okay. What am I supposed to do with the 30 people that are in here when we're not producing cookies?
Right. Yeah. Because we literally produce cookies and we bake cookies like all day long. So if you're not producing, then the next day there's nothing to bake. Right. And so.
Yeah, we're a just-in-time facility. We do everything. We've got high throughput, and it gets weird when stuff breaks like that, but.
Yeah, so that ended up being okay. And then, we have our sales rep, Christian, and then our CMO/CTO, Alex, in town. That's always like a good time, but just made this week feel a little bit busier, a little bit more crowded than normal.
I had to shoot up to our other facility and check on our line that we're working on up there for our bites.
Yeah, so we have a $1 million piece of equipment up there that just got delivered like last week.
Yep. So we imported that thing, got it installed. And it's a much more complicated line than ours just because of everything that goes on. So in here, we've got some processes where we're, making a cookie one day and baking it a different day. This is a frozen product. So once that line gets up and spinning, dude, it's just humming out bags all day long. And
yeah.
So it's intense.
Well, the crazy part is when we run the previous machines that we had on that line at like full speed, it was essentially about like 10 bags a minute, maybe
right.
8 to 10 bags a minute. This new machine, if we run it at the slowest setting it can go, it's 40 bags a minute.
Yeah.
At the slowest setting. So at the highest setting, it's like 80 plus bags a minute. So it's literally like 8 to 10 times faster than the other one. So it's wild to see it in person.
Yeah.
I mean, I only saw like clips from you showing me, and it was just like, it was literally just like
a sea of our bites coming out, man. It was so cool to see in person. And the machinery looks cool. Obviously, it's all that stainless and food grade stuff, but just the way its hoppers are designed, we've got...
Looks like a giant engine.
It looks like a huge engine.
Yeah.
It's sexy.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So that, I mean, cool stuff. A lot of stuff on the horizon for us with everything we're doing with bites,
Yeah, you guys can get them on DoorDash. Check us out.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing we're doing right now is we're meeting with designers on like redesigning our packaging. And when the initial discussions were like, yeah, we want to design some packaging. And then people were like, hey, we want to make sure the branding's cohesive. And it's turned into like, we could spend a little bit of money and just redesign some packaging, or we can spend a lot of money to just do like a full rebrand of Fat and Weird. And it feels weird to do that, but I mean, I have friends, Sour Strips did a full rebrand. Alpha Elite's done a full rebrand. BPN has done at least a couple full rebrands on their products. You just get to a point where like you or your buddy designer isn't going to cut it anymore. Right. And that's kind of where we're at, is like our in-house guy that knows how to do some design work just isn't, well, and it's kind of me too, being like, yeah, let's kind of.
Yeah, well, and it's like, graduating in athletics or whatever else, man. You're playing on better and better teams, and Fat and Weird is getting better and better, and we now have the resources and the time and the focus to kind of direct it on that. But moving into the CPG space, we were an e-com brand, and you have to move differently as an e-com brand. And now, I mean, most of our products are being sold through retailers,
right.
And so we're not quite in the shelf space for, the predominant stuff. Most of our stuff's going through DoorDash right now, but we're about to be mostly on store shelves, and then we're competing in an entirely different. We got to catch people's eyes.
Yeah, and we're next to Ben and Jerry's, and we're next to all these other people.
Tried
so it's
and
like
true, long time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a different world, and so we're just trying to make sure that we're presenting ourselves the best way. But yeah, I mean, there's just like such a large cost associated with that. I think it's funny being an entrepreneur. A lot of people think like, I'm going to be an entrepreneur and I'm going to make so much money. And you do and can make a lot of money. But I think that a true entrepreneur is literally like almost like planting seeds, and they're going out, and instead of like buying whatever, they're buying more seeds that they can plant. And that's really the way I view it, because it's like, you're literally like, I'm just trying to have the biggest crop when I finally get a chance to like harvest my crops.
Yeah, well, if you're doing it right, you've set yourself up so that you can. That's absolutely right. Not making this a business lecture, but revenue obviously needing to be what it is to do some of that. A lot of times people go get one seed, plant the seed, and by the time they figured out how to make it grow, they need to eat everything off their plant.
Right.
Everything. And so they're not really left over with much. And I think we've done a really good job here at making sure that that's not the case. You know? So yeah, we're buying new equipment. Well, we just bought new equipment.
Well, yeah,
we're looking at the next bit of equipment to buy.
Well, yeah, and then we're also looking at expanding our building. And so, like, when you like talk about all this stuff, you're like, man, you hear about your revenue growing, you hear about like more money coming into the company, and then you like go like, where is this money? You're like, oh yeah, we're gonna add 13,000 square foot to the building. Oh yeah, we're gonna buy this $1 million piece of equipment. Oh yeah, we're gonna buy this $100,000 piece of equipment. So it is, I don't know, it's an interesting world, where growth isn't this like, oh, I'm buying myself a Lamborghini. It's I'm buying myself. I mean, the fact is, I could have bought a Lamborghini with the amount of money I've spent on the equipment. I mean, I could have bought more than a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I could have bought
fleet.
Yeah. So with the amount I paid on this equipment, but I'm making an investment into something that
every time we get another piece of equipment, we climb that top line potential. No, we don't eat off the top line, but through efficiencies and throughputs, it's increasing the bottom line too. So
yeah, but it is. It's an interesting, dynamic when you create a business, because a lot of people think, well, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, and in a couple of years I'm gonna be making $1 million a year, and it's like, well, you may be making $1 million a year, but you need to be probably putting it back into the business if you want it to be bigger. Yep. But I guess the truth is, if I didn't want to grow it, if I was just fine where it's at right now, and I just
bleed a good amount,
you could just kind of just stay here, forever. And I mean, there's probably a size we could get to with everything we currently have. That would be like an okay size.
That's every business, right? So you get that threshold, that sweet spot of max revenue to whatever minimal costs to generate. The second you cross that threshold, you're now not making enough money. You can't hang. Everything is stressful. And then you get up to a certain point, you're like, oh, it's kind of nice. And so, it's how long do you want to push? That's across any business.
Yeah, it's like how far do you want to climb, right? You climbed. You're in a nice flat spot right now. Everything's good. Do you want to embark on that climb up to the next level? Because on the climb to the next level, you could slip and fall, and it's over. Or you can make it to that next nice little flat patch.
Sometimes like entrepreneurs, like I don't know the name of that game show where like you can keep like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something, where like you can risk it or stop.
Yeah, the suitcase one.
Yeah,
Deal or No Deal or whatever. Yeah.
Do you want to risk it or stop? And you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
That is that's entrepreneurship 100%.
Yeah,
it really is. Like, in a nutshell, it's like, do you want to risk or do you want to keep going? So. Well, let's go ahead and talk about some happenings in the world.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court upholds the TikTok ban. So we'll watch this short. I'm interested to see how this plays out, I guess.
Huge news out of the Supreme Court as the justices uphold a controversial ban on the social media app TikTok. Now, the justices signaled that they would uphold this ban several days ago when they had oral arguments. This all started last year in April when Congress, with broad bipartisan support, said that the app would be banned if it didn't divest from its parent company ByteDance because of concerns over that company's ties to China. It's a national security.
Yeah, so like I know the big thing is like people are saying like, are you violating like amendment, like the First Amendment rights? And then other people are saying, well, it's a national security concern, so that trumps that thing. I've also seen reports of like people like Elon Musk supposedly like putting together. I actually saw where Mr. Beast met with a bunch of billionaires and they're putting together a proposal to buy it. Obviously you're seeing too, like Mark Zuckerberg is becoming really good friends with
all of them have been down to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah. And so truthfully this helps Meta the most because it's going to help Instagram drive back, and then YouTube Shorts will probably see a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, I don't know that national defense of this nature really supersedes my First Amendment right. I don't really care as much about TikTok personally. Of course, we use it as a business, so I do have a dog in that fight.
But the truth is, though, like from a influencer standpoint, a lot of influencers are bigger on TikTok that like move like, and so they're very upset. But like as me personally, I view that as like one less platform I have to manage now. So I prefer it. However, it's only because you simplified my life. I don't think there's anything wrong with TikTok. In fact, if you banned Instagram, I would just go to TikTok and do stuff like I do on Instagram. I just like it from the standpoint of like, oh my gosh, there's YouTube Shorts, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Lemonade, whatever, all these platforms. And you're just like, oh my gosh, can I just post on one platform, please? And,
Not no more, unfortunately. But I mean, it could kill TikTok. It could come back with a vengeance. I don't know why X just hasn't been like sharpening its axes as much as it can to slide in. I mean, they can handle the bandwidth. They can handle the user base. They can handle the video bandwidth. I think TikTok is really miles ahead in algorithm. And so you can't steal that really, but you can develop it.
Yeah, the way that TikTok was created, of this idea of like when you open it up, you're automatically in a vertical For You page and you're just scrolling. Like Instagram hasn't figured that out yet, and like you can click on the Reels tab and start scrolling, but like you have to go there and like look for it. Like the way they did it is like they addicted you to the platform like right away, and then it doesn't matter if you follow people or anything. Like if that's not the content you engage with, they don't show it to you. So like TikTok is just like I don't know. It feels like you're literally going like, I like this kind of stuff, and it's just like, okay, here's this video, here's this video, here's this video, here's this video,
Yep.
right? And it may go like, here's this video, it's on the edge of something else. Do you want that too?
I would say for me, my YouTube Shorts algorithm is probably the best one of the apps that I use until my kids hop on the TV and start watching whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where'd all my stuff go?
Yeah.
Because I do subscribe and I do whatever, but I don't religiously watch anybody.
Right.
Normally I watch enough of the same stuff that I'm like, oh, new little video. Let me click on that. Because, I mean, you and I have talked about it. I've cut out so much of, like, Netflixing and anything else.
Me too, yeah.
So that I just want to, like, if I want to, like, chill, kill some time and not really use my brain, it's not like I'm completely removing all, what you want to call it, mindless entertainment. Right. But I can throw on a current events. I can throw on and feel like I'm learning a little bit of something. But then my daughters get on there and it's all like Cinderella sing-alongs.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to do that.
I think for me, the thing that like the realization I came to is that like as much as I wanted that mindless disconnection at night to watch these TV shows and like, you know, Aubrey and I mean, I think we'll get back into it when we get a little routine of like trying to like add some of this stuff like back to our lives. And maybe it's a weekend thing instead of like a night thing. But I realized is that like I put so much importance on this stuff and it's like, it's not important for my life. Like watching the football game, you know, I end up watching this football game and I'd stay up late to see who wins. And it's like, I could check the score in the morning and I'll see who won. And like, why do I need to stay up until like 10:30 at night and then affect my entire day the next day over a bunch of people that are my age or younger, like paying millions of dollars?
I saw the, you know, the writing on the wall, if you will, but just everybody in general telling me how tired they are, but then telling me how much TV they watched.
Right.
And it's like, nobody's waking up at early as hell and usually binge watching anything.
Right.
You're getting important stuff done. And so it's that I agree, man. I get home a lot of days and I'm just like, I don't want to think about anything. Like my brain is fried.
Right.
So I do want, like, put something on that does all the decision making for me or whatever. But then you get addicted to it and the shows give you those little dopamine pops and then you find yourself staying up a little later.
Yeah.
And so just try to put all that stuff away.
Well, I think for me too, I was like, I brought this up last week, is just like opening up my screen time and seeing like how much screen time I had spent on all these things. And then you're missing the connections with the people around you, or you're like not improving yourself. And so it's like, you know, like I said, I've been reading every morning or evening or both, doing my Bible study every morning. I have a goal to like, your Bible app tells you like you're on a streak.
Yep.
And I have a goal to like, to streak it all the way through the year.
Good.
I know there's something that's probably going to come up that's going to break that streak. You know, maybe I get sick, maybe something happens and I'm not able to do it. But like, I'm going to try to remember with everything in me. I probably should set an alarm on my phone in the evening that like, did you do your Bible study today? You know, so that way I'm like, oh no, I need to jump on and do it really quick. Yeah. Because like, and I've been journaling when I'm doing my Bible study so I can go back and like, look at that stuff. I think we'll have, you know, like, what are you putting value in? You know, like, what are you putting value in? Are you putting value in mindlessness? Are you putting value in like social media people that really don't know you? And I mean, I wouldn't say don't care about you, because like the people that follow me, they'll people randomly reach out, never messaged me before. I care about them as people, but like I don't know them, you know. And if I saw them on the street, I wouldn't know them from anyone else. And so, you know, like, why are you putting so much value in those things and then neglecting the relationships or your own physical health or whatever, you know?
I mean, we do spend a lot of time glamorizing and just infatuating, just like you said, people that don't know that you're doing it towards them.
Right.
So they're not, it's not like you're seeing your favorite celebrity and you want to go talk to them or something. You're just kind of watching. And I think it's leading to a lot of people becoming depressed too. I find myself doing it. I know we've talked about it, but like, I'm not looking at the folks that are just like Lambo living, driving around being flashy. But man, my algorithm on social media just wants to tell me how far behind I am and how much more I need to do.
Right.
And like,
which fuels my anxiety, because I already have anxiety that like I'm not good enough and I need to like do more to compensate for my lack of me, you know?
Right. And then being an ambitious person, you are too. Who I'm looking for is competition in something I've decided to do. I'm picking people that are good. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so far behind. Yeah. You know?
And that fuels that I'm not good enough and anxiety even more, and just like a habitual cycle. Yeah. And the truth is, it's just like, sometimes you're looking at like literally like the top 0.1% and you are in the top 5%, or you maybe even the top 1%, but you're like, but I'm not the top 0.1%. Yeah. But then you know, and not to say that they don't also, but then they go, well, how's their relationship with their family? Like how are they as a husband?
Right.
Like, are they so involved in whatever they're doing that they're not a good husband?
So it's just the mentality that, you know, I have has been, wickedly effective at getting things done, but like at the expense of like mental health at certain times. Because you're not taking care of yourself. I got to catch that guy, whatever it is. And so like
you're trying to be whatever they're doing, but really you just need to be the best you that you can be.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
All right. Willow. Oh, this is the Willow. I'm excited about this.
Willow.
One. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Google says its new quantum chip might have proved the existence of parallel universes. So there's that. Down at the quantum level of our universe, particles can exist in two states at once. And the idea that people use to understand this is called Schrodinger's cat, where a cat inside of a box is both alive and dead at the same time until you open the box and see for yourself. This has led people to believe that there must be multiple universes, one where the cat lives and one where the cat dies. The idea that parallel universes play a role in quantum physics is nothing new, and I've made a lot of videos on it, but what happened here? Google recently had a breakthrough in their quantum AI department known as the Willow chip. The chip performed a computation task in 5 minutes that would take one of today's fastest supercomputers 10 septillion years. The timescale vastly exceeds even the age of the universe, leading the founder and lead of Google Quantum AI to say that the chip was so phenomenally fast that it had to have borrowed from parallel universes, and is in line with the idea that we live in a multiverse.
That's interesting. So what obviously people talk about that one benchmark she's talking about as like why it's so smart, but you've actually brought up things that it's doing.
Yeah, so it can't stand illogical computations, and so any encryption, any security network that this thing finds, it needs to fix it for it. Like, let me help you out and decrypt you real fast. And that's what it's doing. And that's why some of these benchmark tests, they found some of these chipsets where they had at their little computer lab were running calculations, and they're like, on what? And they had to like go in through the network changelog, and like these things had gotten a hold of their network, and it was like unencrypting it, like unencrypting people's passwords, publishing them, sending them their password. Like, hey, Brad, here's your password. You're like, I didn't ask for this.
Yeah,
here it is.
Yeah,
like so it can't handle that, and so it's something that I don't think doom and gloom, but it is something where you need to be careful, not an AI type general threat, but like if people have access to this level of quantum computing, then your network is not safe anymore.
Well, that's what I've told you. I said, I think we go back to like however many podcasts I said that when people want convenience, you're giving up security.
Yeah.
You're not more if you want to open a bank account online, you've given up some level of security. Like someone doesn't look at you anymore if they don't. Like whatever. So, when you're doing those things, that's what's the big deal is that like I can go to this place and open up a bank account, or now I can do it online. I've given up some security. So the problem I have with a lot of these AI and supercomputers is like they're good at breaking into things.
Yep.
And so unless we like start leveling up some security, which takes away some of the convenience, then I don't think that we're going to be able to function how we are just from a standpoint of it going like, oh, here's your bank account. Oh, you owe these persons the money. Let me just.
Well, quantum computing is it's different than regular computing, and AI and that combined make a lot of the stuff that we have in the realms of security, like not just obsolete, like unuseful anymore.
They've talked
no
about
matter
crypto.
how thick the door is, quantum computing is a key to it.
Yeah. They talked about crypto not even being secure.
I know, man. They're going to go like, oh, wait, Bitcoin, solve this, done. Found them all.
Yeah. You don't need to mine them. Here they are.
Yeah, here they are. Laid out all nice and neatly. Yeah. And then, it's weird, dude. I mean, that's
I know people like hold them in wallets.
Who's preventing Google from just going out and taking the rest of the Bitcoin that are out there?
Yeah.
With this chipset.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But also, it's like the only security it is if you had an offline wallet. But the moment you plug that offline wallet in, it
can take it.
Yeah, it can take it. So it's like you turn to situations where it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I've always, you'll hear me shouting up and down. I think that AI and security are your biggest threats, and then that's usually not what people are talking about. They're talking about like, oh, AI thinking for itself and doing whatever. It's like, no, I think AI like literally going like all bank accounts.
Yeah, we got rid of banks.
Yeah. And you're just like, what? You log on, there's nothing
No
there.
money.
It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Present is scary.
Yeah. What if you dug a hole from the U.S.? I guess it depends on where you started in the U.S., but
when I was a kid, I said, if you dug a hole from the United States, where would you come out on the other side? Everyone says, if you dig a hole all the way to China.
That's always the case.
However, China is not where you will land if you dig a hole through the center of the earth. Because if you dig a hole through the center and you start in the northern hemisphere, you have to end up in the southern hemisphere. If you start in the western hemisphere, you got to end up in the
eastern hemisphere.
That's how the geometry works.
Exactly, because it's a ball.
It's a ball.
Right.
So when I did the measurements on that, if you dug that hole from the United States, you would end up in the Indian Ocean.
You just flood the United States.
Yeah,
that's really what you
through.
did. You pop through, and all of a sudden you're like, "Oh Lord, what have I done?"
We did this little thing in science class in middle school. My teacher had like pet peeve of that saying. I don't know if somebody said it or not, but we had a globe and did the strings and everything. Yeah, it's pretty funny. You don't land in China. I think you can land in other places than the Indian Sea because it really just depends on what angle.
Well, or where you started in the U.S. I mean, because the U.S. is like so large. I'm sure it depends.
Well, and also, for us little smartasses in the class, we also showed that a straight line is still a straight line, even if it doesn't go through the exact center of the Earth.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I can dig a hole through the Earth in any angle I want to.
Well, and hit China, right.
Yeah, but angle I want to.
But they're saying if you're trying to
move the most mass of Earth.
Well, intersect through the center of the Earth, then you have to do a straight down. I think they're probably saying like you grab something and it drops and it's hitting, like you must continue that angle of gravity.
Right.
Right. So influencer scam products, I mean, all of them. No, I'm just kidding.
I tried every influencer scam product to see if any are actually legit. Starting with Air Up, which claims to use scented pods to give the illusion of flavored water, but after trying it, I wasn't too convinced. Afterwards, I tried Fume, which is just flavored air, so no water vapor or anything, geared towards stopping vaping and cigarette smoking. This also did nothing. Moving on to Honey, which was recently exposed for being a scam, and after trying it out on one product, I didn't get a coupon, but I was able to manually find one, so definitely an L. Next up, I tried Established Titles, which is a company that apparently makes you a lord and gives you a small square foot of land for $50. I bought it, but I honestly have no idea if I own anything there, but I do go by Lord Sam now. I also tried these appetite suppressant lollipops that Kim Kardashian promoted, which actually did briefly curb my appetite, and then I had a Bang energy drink, which they promised would cure every issue in my life, which it didn't, but I did get a slight energy boost. And lastly, I finally played Raid Shadow Legends, which I've seen promoted more than I've seen my own family, and I have to say this was actually a legitimate game, so I could see it being fun for some mobile players. So proceed with caution.
I feel like he was paid by them at the end.
Yeah, right? Got real nice. Yeah. Man, I see all of those, and I mean, I don't have a great sense of smell, so I haven't tried the air product, the Up Air or whatever.
Do you know where I go for reviews on products?
Where?
Reddit.
Oh, yeah, bro. They go in horde.
Yeah, but now people are knowing it, and they're doing fake reviews in there, and you can tell, though. I mean, they haven't gotten good at it yet. The AI is like, I tried this product, it changed my life forever. Yeah. You order it too, and you're like, okay, bro, like, what is this?
But yeah, I mean, they get the little fume bar thing. Look, one of the most addictive part of cigarette smoking is the habitual thing that people do. And so, like, you're keeping that going. You're getting rid of nicotine.
Yeah.
Arguably better for you, but not a problem. It's like, here's a solution to a problem that doesn't exist.
Well, I think that, the old school method, I remember people quitting cigarettes were Dum Dum Pops.
Yeah.
Or I knew some people that would do those. They would make their own toothpick, the cinnamon toothpicks, and because they put a toothpick in their mouth and they'd taste something, and it would and then they'd talk and they'd put the toothpick and they'd hold a toothpick in their mouth. But
most of the time with kicking an addiction of any kind, you're just distracting yourself long enough for it to clear your system, and then distracting yourself long enough to not pick it back up, and then most people kind of forget about it. Or changing your environment.
Do you want to know how I quit something that I'm addicted to? Like where I was when I was drinking too much and stuff, I said, I'm going to stop drinking so much. I'm just going to quit drinking. And then I quit.
Yeah. Because that's what I mean. You
it just blows my mind that to me, it's like, listen, this is probably going to rub people the wrong way because addictions are probably hard. But at the end of the day, what you're telling me is you're mentally weak.
Yeah.
You can't just not do it.
Right. Well, it is a discipline thing, and I don't know about folks that maybe have become chemically bound to certain drugs or whatever. Hopefully none of y'all are watching this. This show isn't for you. But like nicotine addiction for some folks, again, yes, you just got to kick it. You got to say, I'm not going to do it and stop doing it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that because it's legal and because people do it, they do a lot of it. They do it for a long time. I'm not making a case for them. I'm just going, for instance, Josh, he's kicking it. He's dealing with the headaches. He's dealing with the whatevers.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do. You got to clear it from your system. And then once it's clear, you got to decide not to pick it back up.
Yep.
And then you go on about your life. What I think a lot of people struggle with addiction, because I've recently cut out alcohol, is I don't feel any chemical. I don't feel any physical dependence on it. I don't feel anything, but I didn't realize how much I used it as a way to go like, I'm just going to have a drink and not deal with this.
Yeah.
And then now I'm sitting here, and it wouldn't be enough for my 240-pound ass to probably feel any real effects, but I get to taste it, I get it, and I've synchronized it with my mind that like
it calms you. Yeah.
So now I'm just sitting here going like, I don't really want that drink. I want what the gave me. So I need to find that again because like, you know.
I just need to go to therapy, bro.
Yeah, I know. Still.
I'm just, hey, I want to be, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Because I just know, I know how much you drink. I'm not calling you at lunch, but
sure.
like, you know, you would have quite a few beers. We go out somewhere. Yep. But just like, you know, this year, like I can tell you've been like working on yourself. I mean, it started probably around the holidays, I think. It was kind of like an epiphany for you. Yeah. But no, I just want to say, I'm proud of you for like working on yourself because, I know it's hard to like confront things that, especially that you've repressed for like so long. And I mean, like I said, I went to my first solo counseling. Well, I guess it was like a week or two ago. And then, but that was really kind of more like an introductory thing. And then my counseling session yesterday was like my first real counseling session. I mean, it was hard, you know, because like you're battling these like feelings and emotions that were potentially brought on from childhood things, maybe just things you've done throughout your lives, you know, and I think that people don't realize is like all of the things that you think are negative about yourself or like my anxiety and things like that, they serve a purpose. And it's okay to have anxiety. It's not okay to let anxiety control your life. Anxiety does serve a purpose. And for me, my anxiety helps me be prepared for things. And I can get hyper focused, so it is a good thing. But then when I let anxiety continue when it's already served its purpose, that's when it becomes a bad thing. Yeah. Or when I have given it the driver's seat and I don't realize it's the one driving, and then you know, I mean, you've interacted with me and you've been like, "Ooh, man, Brad's on it today," you know, those kind of things. So that for me is, you know, one of those situations that I have to be more cognizant of. Like all of your feelings. It's okay to feel all the feelings. Yeah. It's not okay to act all the ways. Yeah. You know?
Well, I agree. And I you know, definitely considering my start date, still a lot for me to kind of stomach of going and talking to somebody. Because, you know, growing up and even really my whole life, the folks I've surrounded myself with, it's okay for me to feel, but it hasn't been okay for me to feel to like my support network and my group and everything else. So like, it's always just been easier for me to be like, suck it up. You don't, and then get angry or just fight through it. And then eventually I'm fine. I mean, my disposition is usually pretty happy, whatever. But
I think that builds little triggers.
It does, man. Yeah.
And then someone finds that and they hit it. And then all of a sudden they get a reaction. And they're like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we talked about it. I was experiencing a little bit of anxiety and stuff like that. And I mean, it's not like I'm an anxious free person, but I had never experienced anything like that. I think it may have had something to do with being sick, man. Yeah. I read online the vid gives some of that type of stuff. And, but either way, the inverse of that is my ability a lot of times to stay calm in certain situations is what makes me prepared because I'm constantly doing everything to be ready for this unknown thing that's going to happen. And so normally, so I need to talk about those feelings a little more so that I'm not triggered, so that in those times I don't like lose my shit and I can stay calm and focused and I mean, whatever, put out the fire that is in front of me. And so,
well, so it's so funny that you say these things because like you're so good at seeing it in other people.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I mean, you've told me before, you'd be like, hey, Brad, just like, hey, take a walk, take a couple of deep breaths. Cause like, you'll see that I'm getting like worked up. Yeah. And it's so funny, you know,
you spend a lot of time dealing with other people's emotions and not dealing with your own. Yeah. You know, and that just becomes your driver and that's what you feel like your worth is and all that stuff. Yeah. And so, yeah, you get to do some me time every now and then. And that's this year, man. Like I'm focusing. I mean, I'm not giving up on any of my other focuses, but I'm just going to make sure that the me time is focused in a beneficial way. Even like my athletics, I used to just go hard. Yeah. Just go hard. Yeah. Tough it out. Rah. And it's like, well, that's not really smart. It's not really giving you much purpose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same time, I think when you learn to show up for yourself better, then all the other things that you're focusing on, you can do so much better. Yeah, so like sometimes taking a step back to make sure that like you're operating at 100% means that everything else gets better versions of you too, you know? Absolutely. So professional mascots. What would your mascot be if you had a mascot?
A penguin.
penguins.
I like penguins.
This NBA mascot has a higher salary than 99% of Americans. Yes, the Denver Nuggets mascot, Rocky, makes $625,000 a year, the most, of course, out of any mascot in the league, and I assume the most in professional sports as well.
Yeah,
free.
The median salary
Free. I would do that for free.
$60K.
Yeah,
So
like
why
I don't know why they paid him that
so
much money. I would literally put on that outfit and do it for free.
Fun thing, I heard a guy say one time, and I never really thought about it, but maybe you can feel it, but most people can't experience anxiety and adrenaline at the same time. So use the analogy, and I can kind of agree with that, of like anytime we were doing an airborne operation, I'm good. I know I'm jumping out of the plane. If I'm first in the stick and they open that door and I have to see, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And you're like scared, but then
As soon as you jump.
I don't remember ever being scared after I left the plane.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, kind of being scared on the plane. When all actuality, you should be more scared falling out of the plane.
I've heard that you can't feel anxiety and gratitude at the same time.
Okay.
Because gratitude is being appreciative for the things in the moment, and anxiety is worried about unknowns and stuff. Yeah. So that's like something else too.
You can't just adrenaline spike, but I guess you can be more mindful.
Right. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. So that's something for me is like a lot of people when they're feeling like anxiety attack stuff, like to start gratitude journal and all that stuff. Cause it just takes your focus onto like being grateful for what you have.
And a warhead. You sent me that.
Yeah, that's true. They said a warhead. Maybe it's the.
I never want to try that out, but if I experience anything like that before, I will eat all the warheads.
Apparently a warhead will stop an anxiety attack. So random USB stick stuck in wall. All right.
I found this USB stuck in a brick wall.
Is it a smart idea to plug a random USB into your computer? No. Am I going to do it anyway? Yeah.
They say curiosity kills.
What if it had a bunch of Bitcoin on it?
It also doesn't kill this computer. With the USB plugged in, at first, nothing seems to be happening. But then a new file popped onto our desktop, and opening that reveals a picture of a brick wall.
Those are like...
I low-key feel like that person just made that video and like to do whatever, you know?
I mean... Though there is some level of me, like the folks that were out there kind of being trolls and kind of being pranksters before the world of social media, like before, like, you know, this guy, like somebody was just like, ha, boop. Yeah. And like didn't even want to do it to be famous. Just someday somebody plugs it in. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. But then now with social media, I'm just like, it's fake. Yep. All right, we're going to end up with these shower thoughts. Here we go.
Isn't it funny that teenagers like to flex about how expensive their things are, but adults like to flex about how cheap they got something? Shower thoughts. If you see someone wearing a $30,000 watch, it's hard to know if they're really good with money or if they're really bad with money. Your eyeballs will probably never touch another person's eyeball. Arguing with dumb people actually makes you smarter because you have to figure out ways to explain things in a way that the dumb person can understand. Game devs try to make their games look as realistic as possible, but most people play games to escape reality. Hearing your favorite song on the radio hits so much harder than if it was on your phone. Tall people are expected to use their reach to help shorter people, but if a tall person were to ask a short person to hand them something they dropped on the floor, it'd be insulting. A burger doesn't have a front or a back until you take a bite out of it, so be honest.
Some of those were funny.
Yeah, there's so many of them. I'm like, I'm going to make a comment, and then I've already forgot what it was.
The sharpest knife one was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
But feeling like not good enough is like what fuels people. Yeah, that's literally everything that I'm doing right now, you know? Well, no, I mean, like literally at the counseling session, I said, you know, that's what drives a lot of what I do. It's like why I like want to be like the best husband. So I want to cook dinner. I want to clean up from dinner. I want to give Letty a bath. Like I want to take her to school. I want to like do everything for my wife. So she's like, I have the best husband in the world, you know? But then any time there's a rejection or like I didn't do something good enough, it hurts that much worse because I'm like, dang, I'm trying so hard that I literally feel like I'm dying sometimes.
In relationships specifically, I mean, any relationship really though, learning that language and learning how to identify your significant other's love language, like it's tough, man, because it takes like noticing. You're speaking a language that she doesn't quite speak. So she has to go like, oh, wait, he's speaking Spanish to me. That means I got to speak at least my Portuguese back or whatever. It gets tough, but that hits it right on the head, man. Like, it's not that anybody made me feel not good enough. My mom definitely didn't. She loved me and gave me all the love she could, told me how good I was at everything. But the world, man, just my life and my upbringing, you know, there was a period of time where, like, I decided, like, I was not tough enough. I needed to be tougher. I needed to be able to, like, do all the Ranger Battalion stuff. I needed to do this, and then it was like, if I'm stronger, then I'll be able to help everybody. And then the money thing, getting, needing to take care of everybody, and like, anybody that I wind up like I know you do too, trying to take care of them, trying to help, and you're like, I don't have enough money to take care of everyone. I'm just trying to adopt everyone, basically.
Yeah, and you're neglecting yourself.
Yeah, in the process, neglecting yourself.
What's so funny? I mean, my counselor literally, we were talking about like me like rushing everywhere. And he was like, well, I was 7 minutes late to get you from the lobby because the other person ran long. He's like, what'd you think about that? And I was like, well, I figured like there was something going on. You need to finish them out, or they were late from the, a cascading late effect. And he goes, why are you so willing to give everyone else grace, but not yourself?
Yep.
And I was like, all right. So I'll end on that one.
Yeah.
Give yourself some grace,
Yeah. It's good ending.
Yeah. You're worth it. Do our shit.
See ya.